So that brings us to the end of the Prostate Cancer Foundation Women in Science Forum today. So it falls to Aisha, Sarah, and myself to close out the meeting and also to introduce our final networking session. So we received a really high number of registrations for this day, and we're so grateful that so many of you could join and contribute to this great meeting. And we're really looking forward to continuing the dialogues and discussion in our collaborative research team building event, which we'll hear more about in a moment. So I just want to recap some of the highlights of today's event. And I think one of the things for me that is really clear is how rapidly and effectively people have been adjusting the way they work in response to the COVID pandemic and other challenges that have emerged recently. And it's been really nice, especially to see creativity in response, and whether that's adapting to telemedicine or progressing research without having access to the lab, or whether that's managing a team and ensuring their welfare remotely. It's also been particularly heartwarming for us to hear about those in our community who've really gone above and beyond to make a difference in the lives of prostate cancer patients during this COVID pandemic, and especially our award winner, Dr. Rachel Romani. And those of you who are familiar with the work of the Prostate Cancer Foundation will know that nurturing the next generation of scientific talent is something that's really at the heart of the Prostate Cancer Foundation's ethos. So it's been really great to have some high school STEM students involved in the day today, and particularly hearing about their experiences of COVID that they've shared with such openness. And it's been great for us to see that not only are these students fantastic budding scientists and physicians in the making, but also very gifted musicians. Also, given numerous recent events, it's really important that we together as a community come together to reflect on how we can promote diversity, inclusivity and openness, both individually and institutionally. And we really hope that today's panel discussion on diversity and inclusion in leadership will spark further discussion and inspire progress and novel solutions that you can take back to your own institutions. And all of us are now familiar with the studies that have shown that diversity promotes scientific rigor, increased output and creativity. And finally, we heard today two fantastic scientific and careers talks from two very inspirational and motivational speakers, Professor Laura Esserman and Dr. Dara Richardson-Heron. And we were really fortunate to have these very eminent professionals with us today. And I hope that you, as I have benefited from their wisdom and their very sage advice. And I think it really just goes to show that with wisdom and advice like theirs, that with hard work and determination, whatever your discipline or career stage, you can get to that next level. I'm now going to hand over to Aisha for a few words of thanks before we start our next session.
Thanks, Claire. And as Claire mentioned, today we want to thank all of our speakers and panelists, specifically Drs. Richardson, Heron, Esserman, and Romani, and our panelists, Drs. Glimsher, Martinez, Lefauve, and Dr. Nguyen. And a special shout out to Dr. Mahal and Dr. Heath for bringing in the high school students to provide their impactful perspective. And we also want to thank PCF, specifically Howard and Andrea, for their guidance and suggestions for this important day of Women's Networking Forum. And our special shout out to our fellow organizers, Drs. Beltran, Mucci, Knudsen, Zubedi, and Halaby. As PCF Young Investigators, Sarah, Claire, and I have all greatly benefited from your leadership and mentorship. We want to thank Vision Matrix Productions and our sponsors. And lastly, we want to thank all of you for attending. With this virtual format, we've had the opportunity to reach more women in science and are grateful to grow our supportive community. Thank you.